You're listening to the Weekend Sport Podcast with Jason Pine from News Talk ZB.
Aryna Sabalenka has successfully defended her women's singles title at the Australian Open.
Australian Open Championships for Aryna Sabalenka has done it in style. 6-3, 6-2.
Yeah, the world number 2 from Belarus beating Chinese 12th seed Zheng Qinwen in straight sets, 6-3, 6-2. Tonight's men's final features 3rd seed Daniil Medvedev against 4th seed Yannick Sinner. Let's bring in long-time tennis analyst and broadcaster Dave Worsley, who I'm told is at his 25th Australian Open. You must have been at your first one when you were about 7.
I think so, Piney. Sorry, you've got live radio here. I'm on the streets of Melbourne. There goes a siren, and there's about to be a tram going. I don't know what's going on here, but live radio, Piney, and yes, it is my 25th. I must have started very young, I'm sure.
Indeed. Aryna Sabalenka, 6-3, 6-2. That looks pretty comfortable. Was it?
Yes, it was, and she was just so aggressive from the outset. She started aggressive. She just didn't let up either, and I think that Zheng was not so much surprised, but she couldn't find a way to get into the rally. She just couldn't find a rhythm because she was always on the back foot and always sort of struggling. And that's the thing with Sabalenka. What she's done this whole tournament is attack from the first ball. She's actually playing as if she was, well, Serena Williams in her prime, one of the primes. And that's what Serena Williams used to do, almost intimidate her opponents by attacking all the time. And if the ball was in her hitting zone, it was hit and it was gone. So that's pretty much what we've seen here with Sabalenka. In fact, I think she stepped that up a notch, but she may have to learn at some stage that you can hit slightly differently and change the tempo every now and then. But at the moment, I guess she doesn't have to because everybody else is on the back foot, including Coco Gauff, which really was the final, albeit in the semis.
Yeah, I was kind of all in really on Coco Gauff. I enjoyed watching her play in Auckland, and she couldn't make it through to the final. Was Sabalenka's win over Gauff a surprise?
Not necessarily. It was always going to be quite close. You had, obviously, that Gauff had beaten Sabalenka in 3 sets in the US Open, and you also had Sabalenka, the defending champ here in Melbourne. You've got to remember that there's only a few years difference, albeit that Gauff is still a teenager. She hasn't been playing for quite as long as Sabalenka, who, when she first started out, she was a little bit frail mentally. Now she's a lot stronger. She's worked out her coaching, and she's worked out how to actually enjoy the game. Whereas in the past, she probably felt so much pressure that she seemed to just fade away in the pressure situations as such. And I think the US Open defeat to Gauff, where she won the first set 6-love and then lost, I think that really activated her mind and how to play better. Gauff didn't play very well in that semi-final. Her serve really let her down dramatically. Too many double folds. She was always on the back foot again. I believe that if she had won one of those sets, then she would have actually felt into the match a bit more. But again, she was on the back foot as well.
Zheng Qinwen, her first major final, I think, Dave. Could she make a few more on the evidence of what you've seen over the last fortnight?
Well, her ranking is going to go from, 10 to 15. She's going to go inside the top 10 now, or certainly very close. It was on the anniversary, the 10th anniversary of Li Na winning the Australian Open. Yeah, she's got a good enough game. There's going to be a few things she'll have to fix up a little bit. She hits the ball a little too flat on just about every single shot. She needs to top spin and kick it up a little bit, play someone like Sabalenka, so the variety's got to be there. But certainly she's got a good enough game to actually go through. The big question mark for her was that he made it through the final without having to beat a top 50 ranked player. It was just the way the draw went.
Why did we lose so many seeds so early in the women's singles?
Yeah, I'm sure they're saying that as well, particularly Iga Swiatek. It was there for her to make it through to the final to play against either Gauff or Sabalenka. She lost early. Should she have lost? Well, she's going to say no. It was just one of those things. I mean, Pegula went out early as well. She was one of their top-seeded players. It just happens. I mean, the Australian Open is the first slam, and the pressure of a slam versus the pressure of winning, say, in Auckland or Brisbane or somewhere like that as the lead-up tournament is totally different. Just whole intensity just steps up several levels. I think sometimes at the beginning of the year, players do whatever they can. get your opposition coming out and deciding to blast away and win or do something different that you haven't really seen them play before, don't really know their game, and then the intensity gets to you. And so that really is just one of the problems. I mean, you look at Zheng, and not playing a top 50 was a pretty good draw. It just sort of works out that way. Other times, you've got to play a whole lot of seeds way through to the final.
Let's go to the men's. And before we get to the final and analysing it, Medvedev and Sinner, I know that across various media platforms, even before the start of the tournament, you were picking Jannik Sinner to go deep. I think you might have even picked him to get this far. What gave you that confidence? And you must be delighted that you made those calls before it all played out. But what gave you the confidence in the Italian fourth seed, Jannik Sinner?
I mean, even being fourth seeds, when you look at the top four players who were there, three of them had won Grand Slams. I mean, obviously Djokovic was going to be the favourite for everybody. And then you see that Alcaraz had beaten Djokovic in the Wimbledon final. Then you have Medvedev, who had been runner-up here twice before, a runner-up of the US and a winner of the US. So you look at those three and say, can win, albeit Djokovic the favourite. And then you look at Jannik Sinner and how much he's improved. He'd done well in a Grand Slam, compared to the others anyway. Beat 3-set matches twice in November. To take into account, did practice coming into the Australian Open best of 5-set matches. He didn't really play or anything like that, too many matches. What he concentrated on, best of 5 sets. Funny thing is, he never played a 5-set match getting through to the final. He only dropped one set the court for 14 hours. And the way that he's improved his match all around, and I thought, well, go well. You know, against Djokovic is always going to be an interesting one, but he was supreme in that match and dropping just one set, and even then I almost thought he was going to win in straight sets the way he started.
So is that going to be a factor? Because Medvedev has spent a heck of a lot more time on court than Sinner has these last 2 weeks, taken his 5 sets, I think 3 times, played till 4 a.m. In his second round match. Sinner, as you mentioned, Dave, has dropped just the 1 set. That was to Djokovic in the semi. Will his freshness play a part tonight?
Should do, but with Medvedev, you never know. Medvedev, you just cannot count him out of anything, including the semi-finals. I mean, he should have been gone. Medvedev was so frustrated with him that he won a point about 5 times and then loses on a 51-shot rally. Frustrating is that. The other players, even amongst Djokovic and the other top players, they all vote that the person who will not miss a backhand the winning shot, but he just won't miss. And that's what's so frustrating. Plus, he's so unorthodox. In 20 hours, over 20 hours on court. A Sinner, I think it's 14 hours on court. He's, a couple of years younger, a few years younger. I don't think that matters too much when you look at the plays. Try and see from Sinner as he's going to have to start fast and just put so much pressure on attacking, but attacking in a way, not in a Sabalenka type way, that he's going to use a bit of variety, try and hit the ball early, pressure, and keep him on the back foot, even sort of get inside his head, which who knows what goes on inside Medvedev's head. Interesting final, you have to say Sinner the favourite, count Medvedev out.
All right, Dave, good stuff. Just got in a couple of dropouts there. We'll let you go. Maybe it's that siren interfering with your phone reception, but I think we got the gist of it. Yeah, Sinner favourite. Never count Medvedev out. Regardless, it's going to be an absolutely cracking men's singles final tonight. Set to go at around about 9:30 New Zealand time on Rod Laver Arena tonight. I'll just absolutely double check that. Yeah, that looks like the time that we're set to go in the men's singles final tonight. It's been a terrific Australian Open on the men's side. Some really, really good matches. On the women's, the seeds falling, and I'm sure the organisers would have much preferred for that not to have happened quite so early. Like I say, I thought Coco Gauff was in the box seat to go all the way. Aryna Sabalenka with different ideas. She is the women's singles champion, and we're going to have a new men's singles champion, Jannik Sinner and Daniil Medvedev, going against one another tonight.
For more from Weekend Sport with Jason Pine, listen live to News Talk ZB weekends from midday or follow the podcast on iHeartRadio.
This week on the Parenting Hangover podcast.
Do you use off-peak power?
No. 6:59 a.m. I go to the meter box and I just shut it off. Whole house is just dark. They'll survive. Like I said, they eat Weet-Bix, right? They love Weet-Bix. So the milk will stay cold in the fridge. The showers will still be warm. Am I onto something here?
I feel like you're taking the piss.
I'm not. And then 10 a.m. or as soon as they leave, poof, put it back on.
The Parenting Hangover with Clinton Jordan. New episodes every Thursday on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.